Hey guys, welcome to the Tech Point Africa podcast. My name is Emmanuel.
I'm Oluwanifemi.
I'm Chungwazlu.
And I'm Bolo.
You people, you don't know what's going on.
You always start with something, then end with something. It's cool. Nice one. Well done.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Your people are having issues in South Africa. Hope you know.
So it's an update from the whole CFTC, Commodities, futures trading.
You want him to start explaining again?
I explained it.
Okay.
Well, for our first time,
just for
We'll link to that
true.
episode of the podcast.
All right. Yeah. So if you are a regular listener of the Tech Point Africa podcast, you would have heard during the episode where we discussed the crypto scam, the $1.7 billion crypto scam that happened in South Africa through a company called MTI, Mirror Trading International. The whole thing was run by an individual, a South African known as Steinberg. Yes. Yeah, so it happened a while ago, actually, around 2021. So the CFTC, that's the Commodities Futures Trading.
What do they want now?
Yeah, they saw that there were a number of USA, like people from the USA there. And now that they've caught the guy, some South African regulators are now they are taxing the liquidators of the whole scam, and then they are taxing them about $53 million.
Wow.
Out of
you say it's illegal. Why are they taxing?
The liquidators of
people
MTI,
that
liquidated MTI.
Okay.
So those liquidators are the people that were actually able to recover some amount of money from the scam. Yeah. So the liquidators recovered, I think, $60-something million, and then
they are taxing
them
after all the
about
suffering.
$50-something million.
After all their suffering,
yes.
They will find me. They will not see me.
So
So
as it is looking now, if you're a victim of that scam, you might not see $1. I said naira, $1 out of the entire.
Nice one. Your people are doing well, right?
They're doing well.
But
we are
we
trying
cleared
our
it
best.
last week that the amount of fraud done with crypto.
Yeah. Crypto
is
fraud is
compared
negligible
to
compared
fiat
to the
is-
OGs,
Oh, please.
banks, fintechs, all of them.
Let's hear what.
So let's cut them some slack.
Wait, you say let's hear what? You don't believe?
I believe,
Yeah,
but I mean, why would you be comparing a mode of transaction that's been existing for 1,000 years to something that's barely 10 years?
Chimgozim is beefing us.
No, but
No, given their reputation.
The report is done usually on an annual basis.
Le-
So this is how much was done in 2021.
People have had 1,000 years to perfect the art of laundering money
This is
through
what
fiat.
Chimgozim is trying to say. Chimgozim is saying they are still scammers. It's just that the thing is new.
Yeah,
That's why you people are.
Okay, so
You-
they are not catching them yet.
of
Exactly.
course. I mean, he keeps on talking
Oh.
about the market cap
That's
of
what he's trying to say.
Bitcoin being or cryptocurrencies being so low in billions of dollars, whereas regular currencies are like trillions of dollars. You can't be comparing it now. So maybe when you get to that level, you can now
doing
see.
more scams.
Of course, you guys are going. Don't
Yeah,
worry.
we'll be doing more scams. Sorry.
You say we, right?
No, I'm not a scammer.
So let's disassociate ourselves from if you are. But
Yes.
yeah, but
Disclaimer.
disclaimer. But yeah, as long as you are not part of them and you're covering it, we will still keep dragging you, of course. But in our mind, we can still trust you small.
Okay.
Very
Good.
small.
Yeah, so there are lots of interesting things to talk about today. And before we go, let's talk about Termii Elevate. For over a month, I kept shouting on this podcast, Termii Elevate 1.0. I find any story like this, I will find a way to enter Termii Elevate.
You did your best.
Yes.
You did it.
So,
And
how was it?
The event happened this last Saturday, and it was an awesome one.
Beautiful.
Awesome in the sense that you get a lot of information that you would have overlooked, right? So I want to paint a scenario, right? Say you're a growth expert in a company, and then you notice that people that signed up on your platform didn't go past the input your password stage. So you just notice that there is a large number of what would be the first thing that will come to your mind? You just be wondering, you might wonder what is the difficulty they are facing, right? Now, if you add a very good communication framework, you'll be able to plug in something that will send those people a mail or a message immediately and say, have you put in your password? Are you finding it difficult to get your password to go through? But if you don't have one, you just count it as, well, they can't get in and they can't get in. But what we discussed in that event is how to properly communicate with your customers such that you would be able to keep them. We see companies have large budget for marketing these days to get those customers. And what do you do with them? You just get them and then they go down the drain. They go out the same way they came with.
No, they don't go down the drain. They enter investor pitch decks and use it to raise the next funds.
No, don't let us go to that. Let's say we are talking about a company that's concerned about conversion, right? So you got your customers. How do you keep them? That was like the basis of what we discussed that day. And Termii, the owner of that event, is a communication technology startup, right? They help you to set up a communication framework that send even to the subtlest message to your customer. Say they want to pay on your platform now, and they just see like a padlock. You are sending them a message that your money is safe, or your PIN is safe, or your card details are safe, right? So I was opportuned to moderate a panel session that day with four experts, right, in the tech ecosystem. They are startups use Termii technologies, use Termii infrastructure. We talked to the CEO and founder of Enterscale, Tony Dada, who runs a startup that helps businesses to get to ideate, to push out the message of whatever they are offering, and helps them to retain their customers. Then I spoke with Frederick Adams, who is the co-founder and chief product officer of Bankly, Bankly.ng. Toby Amira was also on the panel, who is the CEO of Team Apt, Kika Osiagu from Paystack, and Babajide Durosholad, who is general manager of M-Copa. And we discussed. That was a loaded panel. It was, and I was surprised that they were able to express themselves to the full, talking about which communication model a company should adopt and how one solution cannot work for every problem. Sometimes silence works, sometimes it doesn't work. Sometimes openness works, sometimes you just have to keep back some information. So it was a very, very exciting panel session, and that was not even the only thing that happened. So
let me stop
during
you
that
so
event.
that we don't do the whole panel session here.
I'm moving away from the panel session now, right? There was another fireside session where Ogheneruemu.
Oh my God. She has told you use Onome.
Okay, I just want to be formal. So Onome was the one that handled that fireside.
Onome is out of the frame now. She's shaking her head vehemently.
I'm very sorry.
Premium tears.
I'm very sorry. With the CTO, she spoke with the CTO of Termii, talking about their infrastructure and what plans, COO rather, of Termii. They talked about their infrastructure and what plans they have. This startup has huge plans. So we are going to link to the recorded version of the event. It was a very short one, but loaded, and you might have missed it, but then you didn't miss it. I would have loved you were there, but now that you were not there, I would love that you watched this video and learned something. Whether you're a small business or now you have a startup that sells B2B or B2C. There's a lot to learn from it, sincerely. And let me just stop there. I'm so excited about this, let me stop.
Thank you. Yeah, and in case you're wondering what is Termii or who Termii is, so in the tech ecosystem, I would say they're one of the major epitomes of building in silence. They've been building a very, very massive company behind the scenes. And so let's say those of you using as platforms like SendGrid, many foreign platforms to handle your communications on WhatsApp, on emails, and all of that. Termii helps you handle all of that. And they have local context. So I think theirs is way better because they understand how it is paining us because they've been in our shoes as Nigerians, as Africans, right?
And that's one of their peculiarities.
Good.
They understand the African market and they communicate it as it is.
Exactly. So yeah, I think you should check out that video and actually check out the Termii platform. I think if you're a growth expert, a marketing expert, a customer support specialist, you should have something or the other to you should tap Irema from.
Can I still say something?
You want us to do the whole event in this podcast?
Okay, go ahead.
What did you want to say? What was the topic?
Okay.
Topic of what you wanted to say.
Okay, the topic is there are other departments that you would have to build to have a stellar communication.
Okay, can you list them
infrastructure.
for us?
Your customer representative department.
Very important.
It's
Most
very
Nigerian
important.
companies, especially fintechs.
Right.
I'm looking at you.
Right.
I'm looking at you.
It has to be strong. Right.
Fintech that shall not be named.
Then your operations has to be strong.
Operations, okay.
The operations has to be strong. Then one other department is the data department.
Okay.
They must be able to make use of all the feedback that your communication brings to you, and it will help them to take it back to that infrastructure so that you can serve them perfectly. But that is not all. You will find the remaining in the video.
Are you sure you've not given us everything here?
Yeah.
No.
So
There's a
there's
lot.
still more. There's still more.
Are you kidding me? I think
Okay.
something was loaded.
Can you guys hear that? There's still more. Good. So that's an interesting one. And yes. So that's okay. Thank you very much for listening to us to this point. We're about to start a whole round of bans because of Termii, but there are other things that deserve bans in this podcast today. For instance, I'm hearing Amazon wants to leave South Africa. There's a certain project in South Africa, in Cape Town, for instance, that made it was really, really interesting, and I'm really, really surprised that they are trying to pull out. What's going on there?
So it's not like they're trying to pull out. It's just they are having a lot of, let's say, obstacles in their way. So the Amazon Development Center has been scheduled to be built for like a couple of months now, since early in the year. But the piece of land where it's supposed to be built is they're facing issues from First Nations people who are saying this is sacred land and you can't build here. So basically, First Nations people are like the first inhabitants of a place. So in South Africa's case, I'm not very sure of who the First Nation people are in that specific region, but it's most likely going to be the Khois and the Khoisans. Like those are like the earliest settlers in South Africa. So they're saying this is sacred land, you can't build here. And Amazon is like, okay, fine. This is dragging on. So it's been dragging this is July, right? It's been dragging since like March or so. They've been going to court, doing all the back and forth. So it's getting quite frustrating. They had already scheduled to start building a long time ago. So with all of this, they are now. So the reports are that they are getting fed up. But right now, it's looking like the developer is going to be the one who bears the brunt of all of this, because Amazon has already gotten into an agreement with them, and if they pull out, they may have to start an entirely new process. And I'm assuming this developer has like put in a lot of money into all of this, so it's going
collect
to
upfront payments from Amazon.
Well, we don't, because they've not done much. They've not done much. It's possible they've not, but they've also probably tried to expand their team in order, maybe hire a few more people in anticipation of all of this. So
our sentiment in Africa,
it's not just Africa. It's a global issue. Yes. So when you're building on certain lands, you need to go do a whole lot of consultations just to build on those places. So let's say you're in the US and you're building on land that is originally or was originally inhabited by, let's say, the American Indians. If they have a lot of them, even if they are not even a lot, but if there are a few of them that are interested, they could frustrate that process. So if you don't compensate them and make them understand that, okay, this is going to be beneficial for everyone, then it probably, that project will probably not go ahead. So
okay, so I was thinking the issue was, no, you can't build there. So if it's a matter of compensating or reaching agreement with them, even if it's like a royalty every
that's a bit true.
Yeah, royalty.
So so I don't have first-hand confirmation of this, but ShopRite, for instance, struggled to enter Edo State, Benin City, because some of the lands that they wanted to use was also having this kind of dispute. So, and up until ShopRite started having issues in Nigeria, I don't think they were able to resolve that. So it's not quite easy to resolve issues like that. So Amazon has already launched its AWS is cloud services. Yes, I don't know, cloud. AWS enters my mouth before cloud. So so it's been able to launch its cloud services in South Africa, and this building is supposed to be like their regional HQ in Africa. So another land could be the option. A compensation could be the option, or if the government is really interested in having a behemoth like Amazon in that place, which will provide aggressive competition for a company like Takealot, which is like one of South Africa's main e-commerce provider. So I think that could be something that, say, whoever is a relevant stakeholder in this will be able to address. But so far so good. Things don't always work out like that. I mean,
it's always very difficult once you start contesting this land issue.
Even if you continue to build, by the time you've completed it, something else will come up.
They'll tell you can't enter.
Right.
And land is so dicey in Africa.
A very funny situation like that happened between my school and the indigenous of the town. But it was a lot more funnier than that. So anywhere the school puts, this land is owned by those indigenous will come. No, they'll come and carry their own sign, put it beside it. This land is owned by it was really hilarious.
Yeah,
I hope they sort it out because it's Amazon.
And
so?
No, I get the.
Nobody really cares
Wait. I get the. Is animosity the right word to use between countries and big tech trying to come and take their market? I get the sentiment, right? But these big tech companies will keep coming. They will keep coming.
And you can keep frustrating them.
But why will you frustrate them? We understand.
If it's in your interest, why not?
We are talking about your interest. Are you telling me that what they are providing, despite all the things that are involved, that you feel they are cheating you of whatever it is, maybe it's your talent or anything, are they not giving value?
So you're giving value. And this morning I stumbled on a tweet. So the person was just kind of casting his mind back on when Amazon, like when everybody was getting to a place like Kenya. I wrote an article about it, about how the Kenyan entrepreneurs are like, yes, this is good, but we are going to suffer to retain our talent. That's the truth. So do you want a few tech giants? And the truth is, tech giants are good, but it's always the smaller businesses that sustain any economy anywhere.
But then these talents that you are holding on to their neck, if they want to go, they will go. Remote work is all over the place.
If they want to go, they will go. But yes, there's remote work. But here's the thing: when they come, with these guys, you really can't compete on compensation. And you saw what happened with Amazon in Nigeria, where they're now offering to relocate them
to islands.
Nobody can no African company can compete with that. So maybe I was reading something where someone said no African company.
Are you sure?
Flutterwave can they? How many staff do you want to read?
My money Flutterwave just came now. They are OG companies.
Man, it's going to be hard because I was reading something here. I think KPMG said, so I'm not sure it's verified though, but someone was like, KPMG has like built a department in Canada. So they tell you, see, we won't say you should not leave, but when you get there, you can keep on doing the work you're doing in Nigeria. So this is KPMG. They have decades of experience operating in Nigeria, and they have to resort to this. What hope does my 2-year-old startup have?
I think we should just end with this. Just the fact that the sentiment is there
Sentiment
is just there,
Yes.
but it doesn't mean they don't offer value. And whether
They
they are
do, yeah.
there or not,
So they
whether
might,
they are there
they-
or not,
they
what
might
will happen
offer
will
value,
happen.
but these days it seems big tech. Okay, so still on big tech, right? In Africa, they're having significant impact, right? And this is what happens when a company is so big. And okay, how do you feel when a very, very huge truck passes by you? Let's say tanker or
Spits by me, like spits by
just
AC.
speeds by.
The breeze will shake
breeze,
my.
then in Nigeria you have to deal with extra carbon monoxide that comes. That is what it feels like sometimes, and
The big tech.
that is what is currently feeling like in Kenya with Meta,
Mm.
and they're having a legal battle with one of their employees. But it does feel like, oh, it's a side effect of whatever it is they've become. So yeah,
Well, I understand.
yeah, Bolu has more details on that. So that is part of the context we're going to use to drive this case for big tech.
Yeah, so still on big tech, right? So Meta is facing some legal issues in Kenya. So what happened was that global rights group are calling for Meta to reduce or stop their attempts to silence a particular South African whistleblower, Daniel. I hope I don't murder his name. Motwang. Yeah, so they want them to stop, trying to stop this person from whistleblowing. So what happened with Daniel Motwang is he was fired for trying to create unionization efforts in Meta in Kenya. And the reason why he wanted to do this was because he complained that they were forced to watch, because what he was actually doing in Kenya was that they actually there are these departments in those social media companies that actually oversee the kind of content that goes live. So they watch it first before those content goes
Whether they
live.
should flag
Yeah.
it or not.
So he's saying they were forced to watch, content that were, that basically give them PTSD, rapes, beheadings, and they did not provide. First was, after watching things like that, they don't compensate you adequately, and aside from them not compensating you adequately, they do not provide you with support after seeing things like that. So he tried to rally, a union so that Meta would do the needful and not, and not just let them see these things and just, cast them aside. So he was fired. The issue actually started it happened in May this year. And now a lot of labor, according to Cards Africa, actually, they're saying over 80 labor organizations from across the world are backing this, what he was actually trying to do. So, but Meta is fighting back, obviously.
Of course.
So what is Meta saying exactly?
Meta is saying, well, it happened in Kenya. We are not localized in Kenya. We are not a Kenyan company, so you basically cannot sue us for anything.
Okay.
And that's not the only thing they're saying. They're also saying you signed an NDA to do this, right? And I spoke to our producer, who, if you don't know, is also a lawyer, and she's saying there are cases where you can sign.
She
documents.
licensed.
Please move on.
She's called to
She's called
She's
What
a
was the
barrister.
beef?
Please,
Please sue
if you
him.
don't know, Chimgozim, I
Please,
don't know, for some reason, has beef
Please
with our
sue
producer.
Chimgozim.
Mention the producer's name.
Onome.
Onome.
Yes. So she said, it's possible that you could have signed documents and, which basically waive your rights in case you do not like what. But there are cases where someone that is making you, the person that made you sign that document knows that you do not understand the content of that document, intentionally does not really want you to know, so that you sign that document. And in cases like that, you actually have some form of right, you can actually go to court. But even with that, there's still this clause of Facebook saying, hey, I'm not Kenyan, so people are
So
people are basically
you can see
One,
when, let's say Meta wants to open something in Kenya tomorrow and the government start frustrating them.
I can understand, but then what this brings to mind are the what are they called? These social media bills and stuff that wants to make like Nigerians
Yes.
so like needs that code of what's it? Is it code of
practice.
You need a
code of practice, right?
yes,
That
content
expects even
moderation and all of that,
big
yeah.
techs to be registered under the Corporate Affairs Commission and have an office in the country as well as a compliance or license officer, right? Official rather. So I understand the fact why this is important at this particular moment, because for Meta to be coming from that angle, that you can't sue them because they are not locally established in your but you at this to start with, are these gig workers?
No, okay, so they are not gig workers. So the thing is, Facebook actually has a contractor that actually gets these people
They are gig workers.
to do. So the company is called Sama.
Sounds like it's
So
like
why are they forcing people to watch videos like that? What
not
happened
so
to
I
all
don't
the
think- so
AI
I don't-
data science,
I don't think
blah, blah, blah?
it's forced.
So that word force, in this context, it's there are a lot of questions to use, because like I said, this is actually what they were employed to
is
do.
their job
But
description.
then what these people are saying is they didn't make it clear enough that this is
And
really
they
it.
didn't-
Okay, you didn't make it clear enough. Now that we've done it, I think to some extent we deserve some kind of therapy, something to make you get over this. And again, aside from that, I'm doing this kind of work and you're paying me, I said they pay them $2.20 an hour.
$2.20.
So
And you say it's not force.
and this issue
people do
actually
outrageous people do outrageous things for meager money or pay.
Yes.
You get, but I understand the pain. I understand the fact that they might have been deceived or some sort of deceit in place for them to
that
sign
there
that
wasn't
kind of
enough
contract,
clarification.
or they didn't do enough research about what it means to be a fact checker or a content moderator. You understand? And I am wondering again, why is Facebook using people and not AI?
Like, why do we even have these jobs?
No, so first of all, I think so far many companies, like a lot of these companies, have oversold what
Tech is capable of doing.
what AI is capable of doing. So far, so good, right? AI is still there's been a lot of progress, but for me, I still think it's still in the early stages, right? The very, very idea of AI, artificial general intelligence, all those theories that Asimov brought in the 90s, we are far off from that particular kind of AI that if you are chatting, so the idea is if I and Chibuzrim are talking and there's a box separating us, if there's a box separating us and it's an AI that is on the other side, I should not be able to tell that I'm chatting with an artificial intelligence. I would think it's a human being. So we're not there yet. And human beings are so creative.
That they circumvent, go around it.
So the AI will naturally flag some kind of things that are very, very obvious. But
it reminds me of during the NSAS protest in Nigeria, when Facebook was flagging any that picture of Nigerian that picture of
Nigerian
flag with blood until they were approached and they stopped flagging it. Of course, because it has probably had some features.
I could still be a conspiracy theorist and say it's actually people that were flagging that, content moderators, contractors in Nigeria.
Exactly, that's what I'm trying to say.
Actually be humans, not AI.
No, we knew that was not that they were humans. I think they released they gave a response when they were questioned.
Okay.
Then, right?
Okay.
That yes, they were humans that were there that were reporting that this content should be flagged, until they were approached just so that how is this a content that should be flagged? You get, so this is me addressing the fact that why should this be a job for people? You get, it's people that will still do it.
Yeah.
Well, coming from the angle that they are requesting, I don't think it's too much for them to have access to some packages that compensates them for whatever trauma they have to go through. But then I think I'm insisting that they are not. They are
the
not.
contractor. Why is this person not suing the contractor?
Since Meta is their employer, as they are made to believe, but for me, they are gig workers.
So if I'm an NNPC contractor and I have issues, I'll go directly to go sue NNPC instead of suing the.
It's a big name, so that's
NNPC is a big
how
name
close.
too.
That's how close you can get to your compensation.
Yeah, but again, this thing has happened before, and it wasn't necessarily it happened in the US, and it was not necessarily the contractors that were sued. So when it happened, Facebook actually had to pay an $80 million settlement. I mean, Meta had to pay an $80 million
Yeah,
settlement.
we didn't even mention that Meta is Facebook for those who don't know.
Okay. Yeah, so Meta is like the parent company for Facebook,
WhatsApp,
Instagram. Yeah, so Meta had to pay an $80 million settlement, which, again, that makes you now think that, okay, maybe Meta is actually guilty of these things and they just feel they can get away with it because of that clause that they are not a Kenyan company.
So, I mean, ideally, I have never worked with a big tech company, but I'm thinking for things like this, where you can't use AI, shouldn't you be using seasoned experts, psychologists, criminologists, people who can see all those things?
You want to traumatize them.
But they are treating it as menial labor.
It is menial labor now.
$2.
So how would you get
so it's
a
not
psychologist?
No, you can't
Things
get
are
a
not done that
psychologist
way.
to be looking at gory
Which psychologist you even
images.
pay a professional that you pay
How many do you,
So it's not
that is
just
how many do you
hour.
want to wire? How many do you want to wire?
Okay.
To watch hours of content.
Right.
You
or
spend-
read
sitting in
hours
front
of
of
content.
Okay, on that note, we are going to be ending this discussion. It's really interesting, and if we are given the time, we'll spend the whole day discussing this whole content moderation thing. But for our listeners out there, I think the content moderation starts with you. Be mindful of what you post on social media. The
True.
internet never forgets, number one.
Mm-hmm.
And number two, you could be harming someone else. You could be harming a friend, a family member,
Oh, you might know.
or a minor. Yes.
Yeah.
Because a lot of young people are on social media these days. So content moderation starts with you. And as a company, also, there's also some responsibility on your part on the kind of things you put out to your customers so that there's limited panic. So you know what you put out. You're very, very careful in your wording. And that's why we did the Termii Elevate conference. And you can find all the materials, all the resources from the event. You can go to our YouTube channel and you see
Checkpoint Africa.
Checkpoint Africa YouTube channel, and you can see everything right on there. And of course, don't forget the story on Amazon. We'd like to know what you think. Instagram, on LinkedIn, and big shout out to all our listeners. We're seeing your response, we're seeing your comments, and yes, you guys are giving us the impetus to keep on going.
Right. Thanks for the
Ginger.
encouragement.
To keep on improving. Yes, I'm even. Oh, wait, okay. There's no time. Yes. So, yeah, if you're listening to this podcast, and where can you find this podcast?
Well, you can find us on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Radio, and anywhere else to get your podcast.
Case if you're
I'm glad
wondering
this
what's
is
happening,
video.
this
You
is
can see his face. You can
this
see the way
is the best
body
part
looks.
for him. He looks forward to
Like,
it.
I'm always from the beginning.
the story, like, people should finish talking on this thing so I can do my roundup. Okay, people. Yeah, so say bye bye to the camera.
Bye.
They are blocking my face.
You never say bye bye to the camera. You don't want them to see your face when you
That's
start
big.
dragging.
That's good.